Welcome to Unit 4 of BA Third Sem DSC, that is 19th and 20th century English literature, in which we study the novel The Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Let us have a structured overview of Joseph Conrad's novella, that is Heart of Darkness. I would like to highlight all the aspects of this novella. First, I would like to introduce Joseph Conrad and the context in which this novel was written. Joseph Conrad was born in 1857 and died in 1924. Polish-born British novelist, spent nearly 20 years as a merchant marine sailor. Those experiences heavily influenced his writing. So let us take a look at the background of this novel, Heart of Darkness, which was published in 1899. The present novel is based partly on Conrad's dramatic 1890 journey up the Congo River as a steamboat captain of a Belgian trading company. This novel was written during the height of European imperialism. So we come across the phrase "scramble for Africa." So the novel mainly reflects the brutal realities of King Leopold II's, Leopold II's Congo Free State. Characterized by exploitation, forced labor, atrocities like that. Part of the modernist literary movement, the present novel explores the psychological depth, ambiguity, fragmented narrative, critique of civilization, disillusionment, so on and so forth. So, if we take an overview of the plot. The first one is it is a framing device. Narration begins on the Thames River, aboard the Nelly. Marlowe recounts his story to his friends. Second one is Marlowe's commission. Gets a job with the company trading ivory in Africa, travels to the outer station, witnessing inefficiency and decay. Third one is journey inland, travels by steamer towards the inner station, encountering the central station manager obsessed with curs, and finds steamer wrecked, delays for repairs. Fourth one is journey upriver. The steamer slowly progresses through oppressive jungle, sense of foreboding, encounters with natives, finds a hut with mysterious note. So fifth one is arrival at inner station, met by the Russian harlequin who idealizes curs, sees native admirers and severed heads on stakes. Curs is ill, almost godlike to locals. So sixth one is confronting curs. Marlowe meets the charismatic but physically morally wasted curs. Curs tries to escape the steamer but is brought back by Marlowe. So, seventh one, the horror. Curs dies aboard the steamer during the return journey, uttering his final ambiguous words. These are ambiguous words which he uses. Marlowe falls ill. Returned to Europe, Marlowe recovers and visits Kurt's intended fiancée, lies to her about Kurt's last words, preserving her idealized image of him. Ninth one is framing device closes. Marlowe finishes his tale. The narrator on the Nelly observes the dark. Observes the dark flowing Thames. So these are some of the few things about overall plot construction of the novel. So if we take a look at the major characters, the main character or the protagonist of the novel is Marlowe. He is thoughtful, experienced seaman. He represents the questioning observer, trying to understand cause and the darkness he encounters. Embodies ambiguity and moral complexity. Kurz is another character, the legendary company agent stationed deepest in the jungle. Charismatic, brilliant. So we come across the line about him. All Europe contributed to the making of Kurz. Initially idealistic, there is another phrase, suppression of savage customs report. But corrupted by power, greed, and isolation, Kurz becomes a tyrannical demigod, symbolizing the extremes of colonialism and the human capacity for evil. His final words we come across there, the horror, which are central to the novel's meaning. The manager at the central station, he represents the petty, hollow, and utterly efficient banality of colonial evil, motivated solely by self-preservation of career advancement, views Kurz as a threat. The another character, the Russian trader, Harlequin, is a naive, youthful disciple of Kurz who wears patched clothes like a harlequin. He represents blind admiration and the dangerous allure of Kurz ideas. Kurz African mistress is another character who is proud, majestic, powerful presence, who symbolizes the wilderness and the life of Kurz, embraced and exploited, which contrasts starkly with the intended. She contrasts starkly with the intended. The intended is another character, Kurz, innocent, sheltered fiancé, and in Europe. She represents the naive idealism and ignorance of civilized society about the realities of colonialism. So Marlowe lies to protect her illusion. So the narrator on the Nelly listens to Marlowe's story. His closing reflection links the themes to the Congo, suggesting darkness is universal. So, as far as major themes of this novel are concerned, colonialism and imperialism. The novel is a scathing critic which exposes the greed, hypocrisy, brutality, say robbery with violence, and dehumanization inherent in the colonial enterprise. So the novel reveals the civilizing mission as a facade of exploitation. It focuses on Belgian Congo atrocities but implicates all European powers. So the darkness is another theme. Literally, the literal meaning is the African jungle, the unknown obscurity, the literal meaning of darkness. And the moral and spiritual meaning of this is the capacity for evil within human heart, savagery beneath civilization, corruption, madness, the void. And as far as metaphysical theme is concerned, the fundamental mystery and indifference of the universe, the limits of knowledge. So civilization versus savagery is another theme. The novel challenges the simplistic dichotomy. So that is what we call, for example, it suggests civilization is a thin veneer, the jungle and isolation. It strips away pretense, revealing primal instincts. Kurz embodies this descent. So alienation and isolation is another theme. That means, physical, for example, symbols like jungle stations, and psychological alienation refers to Marlowe's growing detachment, curse, madness, like that. So these things highlight the fragility of identity and social norms. So, and one more theme is the hollowness of civilization. The company's bureaucracy, the manager's pettiness, Brussels, for example, the phrase whited sepulchre, the intended's delusion, all contrast with the raw, terrifying reality of the Congo, revealing European society's moral emptiness. And if we uh, discuss the ambiguity of truth and reality as a theme, the narrative is subjective, Marlowe's perspective, fragmented and full of uncertainties. Meaning is elusive, truth is complex and often disturbing. So, as far as key symbolism and imagery of this novel are concerned, the river Congo or Thames journey into the unknown primordial past, artery of trade, exploitation, connection between civilized Europe and dark Africa, cyclical nature of history, like that. So, darkness and light, as as a theme is concerned, darkness is equal to jungle here. Jungle, unknown, evil, ignorance, mystery, like that. Light means civilization, knowledge, reason, often shown to be false or weak. So, fog here is obscurity, confusion, moral blindness. The jungle wilderness refers to primal force, indifferent nature, or overwhelming power, source of both life and decay, catalyst for revealing true selves. Ivory as a symbol means symbol. It is a ivory is a symbol of greed, exploitation, the economic engine of colonialism, curse, obsession. For example, in the novel we come across the line, my intended, my ivory, my station. So, curse, symbol of European idealism, corrupted by absolute power and the wilderness, the potential for genius and depravity within one's soul. Severed heads on stakes, which means ultimate symbol of curse descent into barbaric tyranny, the grotesque reality behind colonial rhetoric. As far as the frame narrative is concerned, the Nelly, which links past colonialism to present, which suggests darkness is ever present, emphasizes the act of stereotype, or what we call, emphasizes storytelling of storytelling and interpretation. So as far as narrative technique of Joseph Conrad is concerned, it is, as I said, it's a frame narrative, story within a story, creates distance, layers interpretation, which emphasizes the tale's impact on the listeners and allows for multiple perspectives. First person narrator, that is Marlowe, subjective perspective, colors events with his perceptions, biases, and moral struggles. He also creates ambiguity, and it also creates ambiguity and psychological depth. So he is an unbelievable narrator, so to say, and very questionable. The fact that he is an unreliable narrator is questionable. Marlowe admits to gaps in understanding, memory lapses, and deliberately living to the intended, forces these things force reader to actively interpret. So, delayed revelation is there. Delay information is drip fed, building suspense and mystery, especially about cause. So, as far as atmosphere and impressionism are concerned, Conrad uses vivid sensory language to create an overwhelming atmosphere of oppression. And not only oppression, mystery, decay, and dread. So he focuses on the impression events make on Marlowe's mind. So as far as the complex syntax and ambiguity is concerned, Carnot's dense, intricate prose mirrors the complexity and impenetrability of the themes and the jungle itself. So let us take a look at some of the critical interpretations or key perspectives of this novel. The first one is the novel is anti-colonial critic, so widely accepted as a powerful condemnation of European imperialism's brutality and hypocrisy. For example, Chinua Achebe acknowledges this despite his other criticisms. So the second one is psychological exploration. So the novel examines the fragility of the human psyche under extreme conditions. The heart of darkness as the unconscious, that means id, Freudian readings, Kurt's madness, and the third one is existential. The existential theme is also, the interpretation can also be made existential or allegorical. For example, journey into the self, confronting the void, the meaninglessness of existence, the burden of knowledge. For example, the horror. So then the fourth interpretation could be Chinua Achebe's critique, an image of Africa, racism in Conrad. He argues the novel that novel is fundamentally racist Africa as a dehumanized foil for Europe. Africans depicted as a primitive, speechless, or savagery, which perpetuates, damaging stereotypes, sparked vital debate. So then, post-colonial readings are concerned. Its novel is a focus on the novel's post-colonial readings focus on the novel's complexity in colonial discourse, even while critiquing it. The representation or lack thereof of Africans. Marlowe's limited perspective as a European male. So, modernist exemplar, the novel is a fragmentation. There is ambiguity, focus on subjective consciousness, disillusionment with tradition, critique of modernity or imperialism. So, if we take a look at some of the passages for analysis, so the first one striking analysis can be made on Marlowe on business. Whited sepulchre, exposing the hypocrisy of civilization. And the second passage for analysis is Marlowe finding the company's grow of death, the horror of colonial exploitation. The third one is journey upriver. For example, descriptions of the oppressive jungle and atmosphere. Fourth one is Marlowe's reflections on curse. For example, the line, the wise, he was very little more than a wise. The line we come across in the novel, curse, power and abstraction. And fifth one is first sight of Kurt's compound and the heads on sticks, the culmination of Kurt's savagery. And the sixth one is Kurt's pamphlet, that is the line, exterminate all the brutes, and Marlowe's reaction, the perversion of idealism. This line is very important for analysis. And Kurt's death scene, the horror, the ambiguous core of this shows the ambiguous core of the novel. And the eighth one is Marlowe's light to the intended, the choice of protective illusion over devastating truth. The closing frame of the themes, that is also another passage. For example, this is dash 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 has been one of the dark places. So this line, it universalizes the darkness. So then, as far as the key aspects of the novel are concerned, overall, in order to recapitulate, Carnot's biographical connections to the Congo can be seen in the novel. The novella as a critique of Belgian colonialism, especially, and European imperialism generally, and the dual meaning of darkness, and Kurt's character, especially his ideals, talents, corruption, and significance, and Marlowe's role as a narrator and observer, his reliability, his moral journey. All these things must be borne in mind. So the contrast between the Kurt's African mistress and the intended, the manager versus Kurt's as types of colonial evil, all these things are very important for discussion. And the major symbols are river, ivory, fog, darkness, and heads on stakes. So the narrative structure is, as I said, frame story and its effects. The significance of Court's final words and Marlowe's lie are very, very striking. And as I said, the central themes of the novel are colonialism, civilization versus savagery, darkness within, ambiguity. So then HB's critique and subsequent debates are also very important, and taken for consideration. And as far as potential questions for examination for students in this particular novel is, I would like to tell questions one by one, which are very important. First one is, analyze how Conrad uses symbolism, for example, the river, darkness, ivory, to develop his critique of colonialism. Second one is, discuss Kurtz as a tragic figure. What led to his downfall and what does he represent? And the third one is, how does Conrad create a sense of atmosphere and psychological tension in the novel Heart of Darkness? Use specific examples. Fourth question is, Marlowe is an unreliable narrator. To what extent do you agree with this statement and what effect does this have on the reader? Fifth question is, explain the significance of the frame narrative structure in Heart of Darkness. And sixth question is, analyze the meaning and importance of Kurt's final words, the horror. Seventh question is, compare and contrast the characters of the manager and Kurtz. What do they reveal about the colonial system? And the eighth question is, discuss the portrayal of Africa and Africans in the novel Heart of Darkness. How might this portrayal be problematic? Ninth question is, the Heart of Darkness, into inverted comma, is ultimately within the human soul, not the African continent. Discuss. And the last question, very important question, why does Marlowe lie to the intended? What does this reveal about his character and the novel's themes? So all these questions are important from the point of view of exam. With this, I would like to conclude my commentary on the novel Heart of Darkness. Thank you one and all.